Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the INCANTHERA Annual General Meeting. I'd now like to hand over to Executive Chairman Tim McCarthy. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning to everyone. We have a live audience here in the room with us of shareholders. So welcome to all of you, and thank you for making the effort to come along. We are also recording and presenting this on the Investor Meet company platform. So I'm not sure how many of you are listening remotely, but you're very welcome also. So we've got two parts to the meeting today. We're going to run through the formal business of the AGM and take the resolutions. And then we're going to move on to a short presentation of which you can see on the screen, or if you're in the room above me, which we'll just run through where we are with business and give you an opportunity to ask questions as well. So there'll be questions coming from the room, from people that are here. And we also have questions which have been put onto the platform. We can see some pre-submitted questions already on one of the screens we've got here. And if anybody on the platform listening wants to ask questions during the morning, then you can just type in, as I'm sure you're aware, and we'll address those as best we can. So let's go to the formal business of the AGM first. We have a quorum, so we can get started. So before we go to the resolutions, let me just ask the room, and also if anybody's on the platform and they wish to maybe get a question on the resolutions themselves, are there any questions on the resolutions, what they mean? Do you need anything explaining before we go to actually put the resolutions to the meeting?
To be honest, I've forgotten what they are.
Okay. We'll go through them.
We will mention them before
We will.
Yeah. So actually, you've just reminded me of another piece here. It may or may not be that for the people on the platform, if somebody asks a question in the room or points something out, you may or may not be able to hear it. So what I'll do, I'll repeat it so that everyone on the platform can hear. We just had a gentleman in the audience to say that he actually can't remember what the resolutions are, but I will read each resolution out, you know, as I put it out to vote. But the reason for asking that question just now was if there's anybody that wanted any of the resolutions explained. No? Okay. Well, let's get straight on with it then. We have a total of 5 resolutions, 4 of which resolutions 1 to 4 are ordinary resolutions. So they require a 50% majority in favour. And the 5th resolution is a special resolution which requires a 75% in favour. So as I just said, I'm going to read each resolution out. I'm going to ask for a show of hands in the room, and then I shall read out the proxy votes as well. So resolution 1 is an ordinary resolution to receive the audited accounts of the company for the period ended 31st of March 2025 and reports of the directors and auditors thereon. So can I ask anybody in the room who would like to raise their hands for the resolution? Anybody against? Abstentions? Probably a bit superfluous, actually. I think that's a pretty unanimous vote in favour on the hands in the room. On the proxy votes, we have received 35,411,392 votes in favour. We have an additional 221,440 given the chairman discretion to vote, which I shall vote in favour as well. The number of votes against were 13,065,834, with 138,602 withheld. So that's resolution 1 passed. If we go on to resolution 2. Resolution 2 is an ordinary resolution to re-elect Caroline Diana Murray as a director of the company, who, having retired pursuant to Article 23.4.2 of the Companies Articles Association, being eligible, offers herself for re-election. Caroline, who's with us today, in fact, I really omitted to introduce everybody, which I'll do when we finish the resolutions. But Caroline is a non-executive director, and it's her turn to be re-elected this year. So if I can ask for votes in the room in favour of the resolution. Any against? Okay, that's pretty unanimous again. I'm not sure if it could be pretty unanimous or just unanimous. I'm not sure. Anyway. So the proxy votes in favour of the resolution are 48,433,460 and an additional 221,440 with the chairman's discretion, which I will vote for also. There are against this resolution 177,378 and 4,990 withheld. So congratulations, Caroline, you've been re-elected. Resolution 3 is an ordinary resolution to reappoint Crowe UK LLP as the auditors of the company and to authorise the directors to fix their remuneration. So again, if I can ask for a show of hands, for. Any against? That is unanimous. The proxy votes on this one, we received in favour 48,592,236, and again including an additional 221,440 for chairman's discretion, so they're all for. The number of proxy votes against were nothing or zero. We didn't get any against votes, and 23,592 withheld. So that resolution has also been passed. Resolution 4. Resolution 4 is an ordinary resolution to approve the granting of an authority pursuant to Section 551 of the Companies Act 2006 to the directors to allot relevant securities up to a maximum nominal amount of £919,587 and an additional authority to allot equity securities on a fully preemptive basis up to a maximum nominal amount of a further £919,587. The text of this part of the resolution is set out in the notice. So again, if I can ask for everyone in favour in the room to raise their hands. Any against? That's unanimous again. So the proxy votes in favour are 48,419,579, and again including the 221,440 the chair's discretion, which I will vote for. And the number of proxy votes against are 57,647 and 138,602 withheld. So resolution 4 is passed. Resolution 5, the final item on the agenda. This is the special resolution that I referred to earlier on. So to approve the granting of an authority pursuant to Section 570 of the Companies Act 2006 to the directors to allot equity securities. The grant of authority pursuant to Section 570 of the Companies Act 2006 shall be limited to the circumstances set out in Resolution 5 in the notice. The text of this part of the resolution is set out in the notice. So again, show of hands in the room, please, for. Any against? That's unanimous again. And the proxy votes received in favour of this resolution are 48,319,579. Again, including the 221,440 at the chair's discretion, which I will vote for. And the number of proxy votes received against are 157,647, and then 138,602 withheld. So that resolution is passed. So thank you very much for that. That is the formal business of the AGM completed. So what we have now is a short presentation. Before I do that, I will correct my previous error and not introduce everyone who's here with us today. So I'm the chair, Tim McCarthy. If I go from one end to the other. So Laura Brogden, who is our CFO, Suzanne Brox, who's our head of communications, company secretary. On my left, your right. So Simon Ward, who's our CEO, and then next to him is Caroline, who I mentioned earlier on, who's obviously just been re-elected. So Caroline Murray, who's the non-executive director, and John Howes at the end, who's the senior independent non-executive director. So you've got the whole board here and the team. Now, we're going to run through, it's a relatively short presentation, and we're going to give you an update on where we are with the business. I'm going to say right up front that we're not making a trading statement today. So we're not going to be talking about numbers in terms of sales of Skin & Cell. We had a debate about this and we decided it would be more appropriate to put something out at a later stage. But what we'd like to do is just tell you how we're getting on with the sale of Skin and Cell, and I think more importantly, especially when we're at an AGM here, is just to give you a heads up on what we see going forward and what we see as quite an exciting future for the company. I'm not sure what you can see on the platform, but we do have, I don't think you can probably see them, but we do have some of the product here with us. Obviously, everyone in the room can see them. Maybe if I put them up near the camera, yeah. So you will have seen these, I'm sure, if you've been onto our website, but we do have some of the products here. But it's difficult to get the impression across, I guess, on the camera. But let's get through the presentation, and then we'll open it up for Q&A, and we'll obviously address the Q&A that comes through the platform as well. So just a little reminder, I'm sure you probably don't need reminding, but we are a specialist company dedicated to innovative technologies in dermatology and oncology. You may remember our genesis. We were spun out of the University of Bradford in 2010, listed on Aquis in 2020, literally I think the week before we locked down the country for COVID, which is a bit unfortunate. And although the origination of the company, Simon actually was the founder, spinning it out of the university, we were very much focused then as a company on cancer therapeutics, new treatments for oncology. That is now developed. That's still there, and it's something which we don't want anybody to miss, because we do intend to keep developing that side of the company, which has a lot of promise going forward. But as you all know, in the recent times, we have developed Skin and Cell, this quite unique skincare range, and we can talk a little bit more about that. And that we announced on the 11th of August. We had launched it for the very first time through our own direct-to-consumer website, and we're going to give you a little update on how that's all going. But firstly, I'm going to hand over to Simon, because we've got a page here of testimonials, and it certainly speaks to the experience that we've had since we launched this product. We had tried the product out with a number of people in all ages and demographics and skin types prior to launch, and we knew before what to expect, because there was a overwhelmingly 100% positive response on anybody using the cream. What we've got here is a mixture of some of those testimonials, but also testimonials from people that have bought the cream, or creams, I should say, and have given us these testimonials back, which is something which I'd like Simon just to run through. So I think there's a couple of observations you want to make.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So again, we're what are we? Just about 2 months in, and it's always nice getting feedback from people, family and friends. But when you start getting it actually back from people who've spent their money and are using it in earnest, it's a lot more telling. And it seems a sort of a general comment that everybody seems to enjoy it. They enjoy the feel of the cream. They enjoy using it. It's obviously high quality and great for that user experience. But they're also coming back and saying, and actually it's working. And, that's not something that I guess should be a surprise, but quite often these things don't necessarily work in the way that you expect them to do. But so far to date, pretty much 100% across the board, the feedback has been positive, and very excited that it's actually working. Now, these are designed specifically to be cosmetics. These are not pharmaceuticals, they are cosmetics. And yet, if you look, this is very small writing, so I do apologize, but if you look at some of the lower observations here, we're starting to see people come back and say, it's clearing up certain skin conditions that have been very tricky for me during my life. So we're getting that promise that it's actually working at a fundamental level of the skin. And it's not just beauty, it's helping to keep that skin healthy and in good shape. And of course, that links in very nicely with the scientific results and the data sets that we published earlier in the year from our friends at Newcastle, who have actually shown that this, at the cellular level, we need some power, at the cellular level, it's actually increasing the energy availability to the cell, which is helping the natural processes of the cell, which is why you're getting a nicer feel and a nicer skin and all of these observations. And so real life and science are actually now coming together, which we're very excited about.
Excuse me.
Carry on, Simon.
No, I'm
you,
done.
you
I'm
can
done.
still
I'm
hear.
done.
It's just
Yeah.
we've had one of the cameras knock off, so apologies.
Okay, well, while they're sorting that, I'll just also talk about in here. Somebody's also mentioned it would be great to have an SPF face cream coming out, and of course we've talked about this a little bit before, but we are developing that at the moment. And in fact, the prototype and the formulation has all been put together, and it works very nicely. It's going to be an aerosol format, which will be different. We're working very hard with our friends at Freaka to manufacture this, and we are at the point now we're waiting for the regulatory certification to come through for its SPF rating, and then we can start thinking about going to market with it. So it's all very exciting.
Yeah, thank you, Simon.
Can we not get this going?
So a quick overview of the DTC campaign to date. We've been very pleased, actually, the way that it's come together. I mean, there's the operational side, and there's obviously, people ordering on the website. So, but I think it's worth just reminding everyone that we are starting from scratch here. We are establishing a brand from day one, and we're not expecting everyone to be on the website and buying on day one, but it's very pleasing that we have got sales. We've got sales across the whole range. We've got 5 products, remember, so people are buying all of them. Some people are buying one, the whole set. Some people are buying individual items. We've had repeat purchases, which is very encouraging. But our horizon here is to be building the brand, to build Skin and Cell. At the moment, we have 5 products. Simon's just explained that we're in actively developing new ranges as we speak, SPF being an obvious one, but I know Simon and his team have got lots of other ideas as well. So there's lots more to come. So this is a marathon, not a sprint, in terms of building this brand. And the immediate feedback we've had is very pleasing, and Simon's just explained, because that's important, because we're in a crowded market in beauty and skincare, and we do have something different, and I think the testimonials do support that, and that at the end of the day is what's going to drive this. It's going to be a combination of emotion and people buying into the concept of Skin and Cell. But if when they get it doesn't work, then that is going to cause us a massive problem. We know it does work, and that's why we're starting to get repeat sales as well. So what have we learned on the DTC? I think we've said before that one of the big advantages of having our own website and going direct ourselves is that we get a lot of data, we get a lot of information, we can see the demographics of the people that are buying it and using it, we can see what geographical region they're ordering it from, and all of this helps to inform us at how we can better target those particular groups, which we believe will benefit from Skin and Cell and at the end of the day buy it. So we're continuing to analyze that. In fact, we're in the process of putting together a specialist group, advisory group, which includes Caroline, in fact, who has a background in this area in terms of branding, and so she's going to be sat on the group. In fact, we might even ask her to chair it if she's minded to. We've also got some really good people that have been introduced to us who've got a background in skincare, in direct consumer campaigns, and all the data that we're collecting, or we have been collecting the last couple of months since launch, will be very useful in informing that group as to how we can be a little bit more targeted and maximize what we do through the DTC. However, looking forward, and again, we said this a couple of times in the past, certainly when we were talking around the final results announcement not long ago. There is more than one way to market here, and we're not restricting ourselves to the direct-to-consumer campaign. It's a very important part of our armory, but as we put up on this slide, just to try and give you some idea, there are lots of things going on in the background in terms of, one, what can we do within DTC? Now, we're calling it retail wholesale. There are very active discussions going on approaching a number of different retail and wholesale outfits on a global basis. And more information about that and news updates will come over the next period. But we're very encouraged in what we've seen so far and the interest in the range. We're also looking at licensing in various ways. So we've called this territorial licensing. So when I talk about retail wholesale, this will more than likely in the first instance be a contract to supply, a certain amount of product, and then that will be sold out through various outlets. Territorial licenses is slightly different, where we could go one step further and we could enter into a license with a group where they want to have maybe exclusivity in a certain period, a certain geographic region. So that's again something which we've got some discussions ongoing, and something which has come up fairly recently, and we thought it was worth just giving you a heads up. You'll be aware that a lot of high-profile celebrities now do their own skincare ranges, they do their own fashion ranges, they do lots of things which they put their brand on. And we've been proactively approached. It's not something which we went out looking for, but we've been proactively approached to see whether we can consider aligning with a celebrity or maybe a couple of celebrities to develop with them their own skincare range. So again, this is, it's a work in progress. Nothing to actually announce as we are today, but it's useful just to tell you and bring you up to date with our thinking. And when I said earlier on, we're not just going to rely on the DTC. We've got a massive opportunity here to get the most out of this. Firstly, there's 5 in the range, and then all the new ranges which are coming up, which Simon referred to. So this is the start. We've got a long way to go, and we've got the opportunity to build a very, very big company here. I'm not sure if there's an awful lot I want to say. I think the rest of it talks to itself really. We've already spoken about. So as I said, it's a very short presentation. It's more designed to give you an up-to-date where we are, what our feelings are about where we are since we launched the DTC. But I'd like to emphasize more than anything else, I want everybody to look forward to everything that we've just described. There's a lot of exciting things going on in the background, and we're hoping, obviously, that that's going to result in news flow, and we'll be updating the market as and when we can going forward. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to open up for questions. We seem to have a slight technical issue with our computer, so I think we might need to click onto.
I'm not sure we're going to be able to do questions on mine because it's the master one. Can we
chat?
Okay, is it on chat?
Let me open up to.
Okay, got it.
Right, we fixed the technical problem. That's good. Thank you. Let me put questions out to the room first, and whilst we're dealing with those, we'll keep an eye on the questions coming through from the platform. So let me open up to the room first. Yeah, go ahead.
Simon Shoot, shareholder.
Yes, Simon.
Probably very minor here in those huge numbers. Quoting, I have no idea how many votes I've got. I think most of my questions you've already said you're not going to answer.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I'll try one that I didn't know to ask. I don't like the idea of this licensing the process.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm going back to my very youth, 60 years ago, when I was, 70 years ago actually, when my father worked for ICI in Teesside, which was, I think, one of the biggest companies in the world then. And I remember when they got into this business of licensing their processes to India, probably not China, because they weren't in a position to take them there, India and places like that. And where's ICI now? Completely gone. Maybe the analogy is not valid, but I'm just a bit worried. If you're trying to build a brand, if, I don't know, I can't think of a woman, Joanna Lumley is advertising it, I'd rather it said Joanna Lumley Skin and Sell than not.
Okay.
Rather than Joanna Lumley Cream.
Okay.
But I'm not an expert in any of this. So it might be irrelevant.
All right, just for the benefit of people on the platform, if you didn't hear, so we've got a gentleman in the room who has given his opinion that he's questioning the benefit or even the potential threat, I think is what you're saying, Simon, that if we license the technology.
Cash, but you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
That could be a mistake.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
It's more an observation rather than a question, Simon,
Yes.
I think, isn't it? That your observation is that there are examples in the past where companies have gone down the licensing route and it hasn't worked, and you'd prefer that the company sort of sticks to the knitting, if I can use that expression, rather than license out. I understand the point. All I would say is that, this is about controlling that licensing activity and sit alongside the other routes to market that we've described. We have some extremely well experienced advisors around us. In fact, there's our corporate lawyers sat right behind you. So he keeps us on the straight and narrow in all these sorts of things. So if we're about to license out, then clearly we're going to get some good advice as to the best way to do it and make sure it's, we're not stepping into anything that we don't understand. The point is, though, that we need to give the opportunity to commercialize Skin and Cell in the widest range of options that we can, and licensing does offer an opportunity for us. So, point well made. Take it on board, but please understand that we will do these things with the right advice in the right way.
If I can jump in as well, maybe licensing there's two parts to a licensing. We can license territories for product, or we can license the actual technology itself for a completely different application. So we can split the licensing approach in those two different directions, and one may be safer than the other, or maybe more applicable than the other. So it's not a straightforward umbrella licensing, I don't think.
I hope I didn't suggest it was straightforward.
No.
Okay. Yes, go ahead.
I guess we would all in this room like to know the number of units sold to date and the amount. But I understand fully because I suppose the sales haven't been going for 3 months yet.
No,
So
that's right.
It's really an early stage. But in a company that's developing as you are, would it be possible to issue in the future a quarterly trading statement, updating shareholders on sales and marketing progress and the milestones ahead, so that we have a good feel for how the company is progressing?
Yeah. Let me just repeat the question. So the gentleman in the audience has made the observation that everybody would like to know what the sales numbers are, the volumes, etc. But understand, you equally understand that we're fairly new in the process. It's been less than 3 months since we launched, which I think is a very, very good observation to make. But your suggestion is, can we do a regular trading update in the future, giving obviously trading numbers and an overall view of where we look going forward? Thank you for the question. It's exactly what we are intending to do. So obviously we're going to work with advisors as to the timing of that, or those, going forward. But certainly, yes, we want to update the market when appropriate. I mean, it's your business at the end of the day, and we need to be sharing that sort of data with you, and we will be. It's just we took the decision today on advice that we'd just stick to where we are and give you an overall presentation. The message is things are going well, and we said the reaction from everybody buying the creams is what we expected, but it's also very pleasing to hear that and see that in the real world. And I know the whole board is, but let me just speak for myself. I'm really excited about some of the other opportunities that we just talked about today as well. If you expand outside the DTC, I don't think any company can rely on just one route to market. You just can't. You've got to expand that, and that's what we're doing. So it's very pleasing that we're getting some positive feedback from that, and we will be putting updates specifically on those initiatives as they occur. Yeah.
I'll try a slightly different track.
Yes, go ahead.
I listened to your presentation to the investor forum you said, slightly to my surprise, probably paraphrase, that this is the only product that has any real medical benefits. All the rest are fake.
Okay.
You didn't say the second bit, but that was the message I got.
Right.
Now that, yeah, I take it you haven't been sued yet by anybody. If not, I mean, that is a really powerful position to hold, isn't it?
Okay.
And I'm not sure that you're making enough of it.
All
on
right.
the current website.
Okay, the observations or question from the gentleman was that at a recent investor forum, when I gave a presentation, I made a statement along the lines that ours is the only product with medical benefits. Did you say?
You said something.
Yeah, I don't want to sort of correct you per se, but I'm very careful. We're all very careful when we're talking about this because we can't say it's got medical benefits. I don't think I'd
Well, maybe
use
you
that
didn't say
expression.
medical.
No, and sorry, I'm sorry to pick you up on it, but it's really
Yes,
important.
The message I took away is
yeah.
what I said.
Yes. The message that you will have taken away, hopefully, was that Skin and Cell does have particular qualities which other skincare ranges don't. And that is obviously what Simon has talked about and some of the testimonials we're getting back. But I emphasize once again, this is a cosmetic product. It's not a medicinal product because, you know, there are different regulatory environments for the two. And we can't claim, we're not claiming this has got medical benefits. And I'm sorry to be so particular, but it's really important that we say that. However, the point still stands that we do have a very differentiated product. And I mean, Sam, I don't know if you want to put a little bit of science behind that, just to emphasize it, but the point is really well made. And that is the feedback we're getting. And that's how we're differentiating the product.
Yeah, that's a safer place to be, but yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Perhaps not quite as powerful.
Yeah.
It's a uniqueness, isn't it?
Yeah.
Doesn't
And I
seem
mean,
to
if
come
you can-
across from the company. Or
Right.
And if you could
Mhm.
truly say that none of these other creams, cheaper, more expensive, any of them, do this, which in a sense you can if you choose your words, I feel that's a very powerful strapline or something.
Yeah. What you're doing in a sense is what we're constantly doing. We're asking ourselves, you know, what are the best messages to get out there in one way or the other? So all this feedback is really useful to us because at the end of the day, you're not only a shareholder, you're a potential consumer.
Yeah.
And it's the messaging that you respond to, which might make you go onto the website and buy some product. Yeah. So yeah, we're taking.
What to do now? I know there's no discount for shareholders.
Oh right. So let me just translate that over in case nobody heard it. The gentleman said he might go and buy some from the website now because he knows there's no discount for shareholders, so he's got to pay the full price. So so I'd encourage you to do that. Go ahead. But no, thank you for the observation. There's a gentleman at the back.
Yeah, I'd just like to ask a few points about the marketing side, actually. I haven't thought some more about this since your presentation, which I attended a month ago. And I'd just like to follow on a bit though from the point we've been discussing with Simon, because one of my questions is to what extent are you able in the marketing to promote the uniqueness of this product, the fact that it works on the cells and skin, under the skin wherever they are.
Mhm.
But obviously not taking any risks that you say things you can't back up. And I think there's a difference, I guess, between saying what you can say about your product and not trying to say what other people's products don't do. Because obviously you don't want to get, L'Oreal or something coming in and suing.
Yeah, that's right.
But I mean, and related to that, I'm not sure if you buy a packet of this stuff, if there's any sort of leaflet inside the box which describes the characteristics of the product. I'm not trying to say it's better than anybody else's or whatever, but building on the uniqueness that you can genuinely say it has.
Okay.
So that was, one question. Second question.
Can we just do the one at a time? Because no, it's just I do need to make sure that everybody on the platform can follow it as well. So the gentleman has just made the observation, following on from the previous question, about how do we differentiate the product, how do we get the message out there about the distinguishing characteristics of our product as opposed to anybody else's, and making the point, I think very well made, that we don't want to get into a situation where we're trying to compare other people's products and putting them down, if I can use that expression, because I don't think that's a very good idea in commercial terms at all. So I think we would all agree with you. It wouldn't be our intention, it's not our intention to be taking other products and saying that they don't work as good as ours, because I think that's just not a very good way to approach it. And you made the point, we also don't want to get into any potential legal issues either. So all those things are well made, points are well made. So you had a second question, yeah?
No, but the extent to which you could promote the characteristics of skins.
Oh, sorry, yeah. How can we do more to promote the characteristics? Yeah. I mean, Simon, do you want to?
Yeah, no, I mean, it is a great idea, and it's something that we're trying to evolve as we get our messaging right. It's very difficult. It's a fine line between suddenly becoming a pharmaceutical, which clearly we're not, and we have to maintain a steady track on the other side of that fence. But also, standard biological processes are there for health and disease, and it's the same process that we're actually trying to invigorate and protect. So it is going to protect against disease, and it is going to maybe even turn around certain lesions and those sorts of things as the cell becomes naturally healthy and cures itself. So it's not a direct pharmacological activity of our product, but it is a secondary benefit, which of course is quite a big benefit. So it's getting that language right that's easy and condensed, and not 5 minutes of me waffling, but people can understand it very quickly and get their head around it. It's actually not that easy to do, but we are absolutely working on it because we need to find that language.
I'm a bit amateur, obviously. I mean, if I have a product that tells me it actually works actively on the cells in the skin or under the skin, it will stop.
Mm.
I don't think anybody else is writing that in their face creams or body creams or whatever they are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
Something which you can always support and isn't going to cause legal issues from competitors or anybody else.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's a key selling point
Mm-hmm.
of your products. So I mean, that was one thought.
Yeah.
The second was a really
Sorry, just before you go on to your next question. So the gentleman was just emphasising what Simon was just saying, that if we can get those specific messages out, then it's a clear advantage for us. And clearly that's something that we're constantly looking at. So thank you for that. You had a second question.
Well, really two more bits to that. The second is, I wondered if you'd like to comment on how easy it is to really establish a brand through this DTC marketing approach, which is obviously not I think I'm not an expert, but in my day was not a traditional way of establishing a brand. Because visibility helps to establish brands. Mass advertising, which is obviously something the company is not in a position to do, is a way of establishing brands, etc. So I just wondered on you can say any words about how you think the brand name itself really gets out there.
Okay. So thank you. The question is about the brand, and how are we approaching exemplifying the brand and using different methodologies. So I'm going to put Caroline on the spot a bit here, actually. I hope she doesn't mind, but she does come with a background in exactly this area. And Caroline, I know you probably can't be too specific, obviously, about initiatives that we haven't announced yet, but can you perhaps give your overall sort of view on branding and how you build a brand?
Yeah, I mean, obviously to start with, in the early days, DTC is a very profitable way to go forward, as we all know. So it's part of our e-commerce strategy around pricing and branding and positioning. And as we said, it's very, very early days at this stage, but you'd want to make sure that, DTC is the space to be in at this stage, given the way consumers purchase these days. We've got plenty of evidence and market research that says, e-commerce strategy is definitely the way forward. If you look at how social media works and the influencers and that whole, ability to get to a much broader audience, in terms of targeting, it's the right space to be in early days. And obviously, we've alluded to only being around for a couple of months. We've got to do a lot of work around analysing our data, having a look at where we've gone so far, and helping us ratify what we're currently doing. And I think Tim alluded to that, advisory group or strategic advisory group to help us understand around all the points you've mentioned, going forward in terms of getting the right branding, getting the right positioning, and making sure we're on the sweet spot at this stage. So yeah, there's still lots to do in terms of building this brand, but we're in the right space at this point in time.
Thanks, Karen.
That's the last part.
Okay.
Marketing.
Yes. Let's have one further question. I'm going to take a few that's come through on the platform.
I mean, you mentioned various other channels to market, including licensing and others that you're thinking about looking at. I mean, I prefer the licensing. My own thoughts is, do you give away too much of your license? That's the risk, I guess. I can see potentially you get quicker maybe into larger markets. But my more general question is, can a small company like INCANTHERA really try and be operating through so many marketing channels at once? There's a big danger is there a danger you dilute the real focus by getting too broad in the marketing channels you're seeking? And this is just a conceptual question, if you like.
Okay.
Saying it's right or wrong,
Yeah.
just
Really good question. So let me repeat it. The gentleman was just making the observation that we've been describing various routes to market in addition to direct to consumer. And being a small company, that is obviously going to take time and effort in terms of developing those other routes. And do we consider that we've got enough resources, essentially people resource, I think you're talking about more than anything, in order to not take our eye off the ball of the underlying business? Actually, it's a really good question. The way I would answer it is, we are what I would call a virtual company. We've always been a virtual company. In fact, this is the company that you can see in front of you up on this top table. And we leverage outside resources. So in the same way that in this room today, we've got a couple of our advisors, and we talk to them and they advise us, and we take input from them in various ways. We're not legal experts, we're not regulatory experts, for example, just to give two examples. So that's why we contract those services in, if I can put it that way. And in the same way, when we're looking to do things other than the DTC, which is what you're referring to, then we get the right resources alongside us. And we motivate those resources in terms of, the way that we put those contracts together. And I think when we launched the DTC, we did quite a good description of the agency that we appointed to help us to build the website and do the social media campaign, etc. And they're motivated because they get a commission on sales. Yeah? So they can bring all their people resources in. It doesn't cost us anything in sort of financial terms, unless and until they're successful and they're selling the product, which we are obviously through the DTC website. And in similar ways, we can work with outside resources and do similar contracts like that, such that we leverage outside resources. But it doesn't mean to say that as a company, we're spending lots of money on retainers and money which we can put to use elsewhere, frankly. Yeah. So, and it's a model which I think works in the sense that everyone then has a share of the upside, and everyone's motivated to make it work. And that's why I said it's a really good question, because it's this is us. What you see here up on this table is the company, and it's difficult sometimes to get your head around, well, how are these guys going to do all this stuff that they're promising to do? Well, because we leverage off some very, very clever and well-connected people outside of our business. Yeah, it's as simple as that. I'm going to take some questions from the platform, if I can pick one up. There's one here actually. How much of an issue is a 39% US tariff on Swiss exports to the US? Interesting one. We'll see how President Trump gets on with the Supreme Court and his tariffs in the next period. But it sort of prompts, the answer that it prompts is that if you've been onto the website to just have a look, or if you've been on the website to buy any product, you'll notice that we took the decision fairly early on to pay for any tariffs if there's goods going to the US. So it is the fact that we are exporting from Switzerland, because that's where the stock is, that it's liable to that 39% tax, which is pretty high tax, really, unfortunately. But we decided pretty early on that we would take that tariff and we would absorb it. And also anywhere else in the world, it's post-free as well. And those are two decisions we took fairly early on, such that people didn't need to worry about it, frankly. And the way that the Trump administration are with tariffs, you really don't know what they're going to do next or not. So just making the statement to say that we would absorb the tariff and the postage is well within the margins of the product and what we're selling it for. So that isn't an issue for anybody buying from the United States. Let's see what else we can see here. In fact, we're covering a lot of the questions, if not all of them, that are on here in the room already, actually, or we've already some of them are pre-submitted questions, which we've addressed already. Right, yes, and this is sort of this is an interesting one. It reflects gentlemen in the room as well. So let me read this out. It's from Martin H. Observation rather than a question. My wife says that the hand cream is the best she has ever used. She's demanding that I buy some more. Any shareholder discounts? That's nice to have that. Thank you, Martin. Okay. Actually, there's not too many questions on the board at the moment. So if anybody's listening and want to put some up, please do. Let me put it back to the room. Do we have any other questions from the room?
I've got it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I hope a tricky one.
Okay, so we've got a tricky question coming in.
I've always called this stuff skin plus cell. Because to my practice, because I'm an engineer, that's what it says. I've just tested to make sure it hadn't changed. I've just Googled skin plus cell. Nothing. Lots of stuff about skin and cells. And I have a suspicion Google is treating it as a logical operator and all that.
Exactly.
I then put in skin and cell, and about third or fourth, not top, was your website. So at least it worked. And of course, a third thing it could be is skin ampersand cell. Now, I seriously wonder whether this is the right brand to conquer the world with and whether it's too late to change it. I like it in print because the plus gives you a sort of medical thing that I'm not allowed to say, but which is clever. It's deliberate. But I don't know what you think about that.
Thank you. So the observation, question, was about the brand and the name Skin Plus Cell. You say it plus.
You all say skin and cell, I know.
Yeah, we do actually. That's a good point. We do say skin and cell, but the brand is Skin Plus Cell. And you went on to say that it's not coming up in the Google searches and everything else as easily as it could be. Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah, it's a really good observation because it's something which we are aware of, and we're looking and we're working with the agency actually to get that, the Google search engines going and different ways. I'm not a technical IT guy myself, so if I'm talking rubbish, Simon, please say so. But we are working with them to address that, such that when you go onto a search, we come up higher on the list, and so it's something we've already observed. But your question was, can we change the brand? Can we change the name?
Yeah, before it's too late.
Right. Well, I think we're already committed to it, if I'm honest. And it's been taken generally, I mean, apart from that technical point you've just made, it's been taken very well as a brand, actually. So I don't think we want to be changing it as such. We just need to get at the technical bits, such that when people search for it, then it comes up, higher up the list.
Whichever they put in.
Yeah, Simon, you're better at this than I am, actually. So
You're right, absolutely what you said, and you're right. When you put a plus sign in, Google treats it as a formula, essentially, as a logical statement, and it looks for both words, skin, and the two different words in. Yeah, and we do. You're right. We have to retrain Google to do that for that particular thing, which takes time.
A brilliant idea.
Go on.
If it was skin to sell, that's still what it does, and the T could look a bit like your plus.
Right. Okay, we've got some live.
Sorry, were you an engineer or an artist?
We got a gentleman in the audience who's professed to be or confessed to be an engineer, and he's coming up with some ideas about how we can rebrand and call it skin to sell, and the T in the middle could look a little bit like a plus. Yeah. Okay. All right, we'll take that on board and see what we can do with it. Okay, we're going to question at the back.
Yeah, it's a question about products. Are you considering maybe doing a bundle deal with products that come up to Christmas or any other events? Might that be a way of sort of broadening reach the market?
Is that coming from you or your wife? Sorry.
So the question is, are we looking, especially with Christmas coming up and different events coming up, are we looking to do deals in terms of bundles and discounts and other things? The short answer to that is yes, we are. We're looking at all of those sort of promotional type things, and whilst I'm not going to say right here and now what we're going to do for obvious reasons, I think keep your eye on the website, especially if you're buying for your wife coming up to Christmas. But we do have in mind some promotional activities. Yeah, we definitely do. At the back. Yeah.
Can you say anything about what sales in Asia and how that will develop? And could you say if there was a need for further funding, is it just short-term cash flow, or is it to expand the product line? What sort of things you'd be looking to spend, and how you would go about that theoretically?
Okay, so two questions there, completely different, I think. What are how are the sales going in Asia, and how are we looking to move into that area? That's one question. The second question was about cash flow and funding. So let me just take them two apart, because they're two completely different questions. We have launched the DTC globally, and the campaign, the social media campaign, all of that is rolling out, and it's building, its presence. So that does, obviously, if it's global, it's out there, anybody can access it. And what we're finding, and as I say, we're not going to give details today. What we're finding is that it's the campaign is working very well in certain geographic areas, and there are others that we need to do a little bit more. But certainly Asia is very much a target market for us, because this type of luxury premium skincare is exactly what that geographical area do concentrate on. They've got the disposable income to pay the sub prices which we're charging. So it's absolutely in our sights. So I'm sure you'll see a lot more developments on that geographic area in the future. The second question, I'm not quite sure if they were connected or not, and why we're suddenly talking about funding, but let me say absolutely we do not intend to be going out to raising any more new funds, if that's what you're talking about in terms of equity funding. And clearly the cash flow is going to be coming from the revenues coming in. And we're looking forward to becoming a revenue generating profitable company and generating cash flow. Now, if I may take your question and sort of develop it myself in a way, there is the opportunity as we expand, and we obviously have to fund new campaigns and manufacturing campaigns, to utilize non-equity types of funding. So this could be trade finance, for example, it could be similar things. And that is something we've talked about previously, and it's certainly something that we will utilize in the future. It's a way, again, it's a slightly different way of explaining our virtual model, but where we can leverage people resources, if I can put it that way, by asking people to do this for us. You can do that in a financing sense as well. And what we need to find is the right source of financing, which is at the right cost, but something that is not dilutive to shareholders for obvious reasons. Yeah. And the advantage we have is we have very good margins in our products. So, the cost of manufacture is relatively small versus, what we're selling these out at. So we've got lots of margin in which we can afford to pay financing costs, because if we drive this forward with greater volumes, it's the volumes clear that's going to drive the revenues and the profits. So taking a little bit out that to get some external funding in is sensible. Yeah. I hope that answers your two questions. Yeah. Okay. I'm just having a look on the board if there's any more, but if there's any more questions in the room, let me have a look. Actually, no. I think we've addressed questions on the board, unless anybody else is going to post in the next few minutes. Any more questions in the room? Observations? Okay.
We can chat.
No worries. We'll be here afterwards over a cup of tea, and you can actually try the product. We've got some samples here which you can take away as well. So that might encourage you to go onto the site and buy some more.
I'm already
Yes, Joe, not you.
Okay, one last shout. Any more questions before we bring it to a close?
I suppose just one observation to
Yep.
follow up on your internet question about his wife's hand cream.
Yes.
I have been, from a dermatologist, recommended I should put cream to treat a condition I have.
Okay.
I've tried various creams over the last 12 months and none have produced any benefit at all.
Mhm.
So I decided to try the face cream from Skin and Cell.
Okay.
And it has produced a healing effect on, it's the only cream that's produced any benefit and healing effect on the condition I have.
Okay.
So I just follow up endorsement. from
Thank you
your-
very much. That's great. Oh,
So,
and good.
I always feel that shareholders should try the products.
Yep.
Companies that they invest in.
Yep.
It's like you're very encouraged.
I'd like to build on that, because I'm actually now started to use face cream, because I have keratosis,
Yes.
which has been treated.
Mhm. Mhm.
I've only been using it for a few days. But it's not only a product for the ladies.
No.
As I understand it.
Correct.
I've never used any of these sort of things myself ever in my life until now. But I mean, it's clear that marketing to men should not be forgotten about, I guess, is that right?
Absolutely no. No, this cream, the design of the cream is for everybody.
It's very encouraging. With your direct-to-market campaign, do you expect to reorder from your Swiss or Italian manufacturer before the end of the financial year?
Okay. Right. Let's just do this one at a time. I'm not going to fall into that trap, but I'll come back to it in a moment. So again, for the benefit of people on the platform. So we've had a couple of gentlemen in the room, very kindly actually giving us some really positive feedback. So the first gentleman was telling us that he, under the advice of a dermatologist, he's been using various creams for a condition that he has without much success. But he's used the face cream recently for the same condition and found a benefit and a healing effect. I'm quoting his own words now, a healing effect for his condition. And so that's really, really, I mean, on a personal level, I'm really pleased for you. But it's a really good, immediate feedback. So thank you. And then another gentleman in the audience, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you've been using it for actinic keratosis, did you say?
I did have a keratosis which was treated separately with something totally different. But now
Right.
it's healed, I'm starting to use this.
Right.
It's too early to say. But I was making the point, it's also men who use it.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a
Okay.
great benefit, it's not.
Yeah.
They're saying for ladies, which may be the way people think about the market, it's not.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so the gentleman's point was that he'd been treated for actinic keratoses and then he'd gone on to use our cream, and that you're finding benefit from
Well,
that.
it's a bit early to say.
Well, a bit early, you might say, but it's certainly you're certainly using it and liking it. But the other point you're making, which is a good point to make, is that this is not a product which is just be seen just for women only. And these two gentlemen in the room have just given us this feedback. And we like to emphasize that. We like to emphasize that there is no distinguishing from anybody, from ethnic groups, from skin types, from skin colors, from gender. This is a product for everybody. And you've just exemplified that point. Just before I go to the gentleman from the back, there was a follow-up from your question. I would like you to answer it. Oh, sorry, ask the question again so I can respond. But the question, the little bear trap you were trying to.
Whether you're intending to place a further order with your manufacturer for the products before the end of the financial year.
Right. Okay. I can see where this is coming from. So the question is, are we intending to place another order with our manufacturer in Switzerland before the end of the financial year? Yeah, that was the question. I'm clearly not going to answer that, but I can see why you've asked it, and I think I'm going to go back to what I said much earlier on in the meeting, that we will be giving relevant trading updates and as we go forward. Forgive me if I can't answer the question, but I thought it was important that everybody could hear your question and my response, if you don't mind. So we've got a question at the back, I think.
It's an observation only,
Yep.
really. Would the company consider engaging these two gentlemen as influencers?
So the observation was, can we get these two gentlemen in the audience to be promoting our products as influencers? So we'll have a word with you over a cup of tea afterwards, shall we? I think we're coming to a natural conclusion. There aren't any more questions on the bulletin board. Sorry, not bulletin board, the platform. There's no more questions. I think we've exhausted all questions in the room. So it just remains for me to say a very big thank you, all of you here today, for taking the effort to get on the trains and buses and whatever it is to get here. We really do appreciate it. And we're here to chat to you after we close the meeting down. But also a very big thank you to everybody who's logged into the platform. I hope you've got something out of today, and please put more questions on the board. I think that facility is there to follow up with questions if there are any, and we'll address them, in the next period. So with that, thank you all once again. I'm going to hand back to the platform. Are you